Welcome to What Do You Know podcasts. This podcast was created to inspire, to open up those sparks and invite us to what do we each know. Now, my guests come from all around the globe, have experienced, have created, and brought different things into this beautiful world. But what if their journey is just there to be an inspiration for what it is that each of us actually knows? Some of our topics will be about the planet, businesses, money, creation of wealth, relationships, and so much more. And we invite you to listen to this episode of What Do You Know? Hello, everyone, and welcome to What Do You Know podcasts. My name is Laleh Hancock, and I have the great pleasure of being your host and also hosting for you today. I got the inspiration as I was traveling from Mexico City to Saudi Arabia. And I was reminded of how much I always love knowing who's sitting next to me. Now, sometimes we're on a flight, it's a solo seat. It's just you and your luxury, and there is no one physically right next to you. But what if it's not just about the flight? Who is standing next to you at the store? Who comes in after you walk in a store or a restaurant? And notice what happens after you enter places. And for the fun of it, even when you go to the doctors, who opens that door for you? Who welcomes you in the elevator? See, so often we think we only meet people based on a meeting, right? Based on a transaction that took place between an email, a phone call, or someone setting up the appointment. But what we tend not to recognize is each of us is asking questions all the time. You like to add something to your life, you're curious about something. For me, nature is one of those very, very important things. And I love traveling to different countries and exploring the land. But I always know I go to a place where I get welcomed by the land. So I wonder for you, who is sitting next to you? Have you looked to the right, to the left, in front of you, behind you? Someone was asking me a story about some of my travels. And when I met him, he actually is someone who works for Amazon and does some things internationally. So I'm not going to give away his name because it doesn't matter. But one of the funny things is I was not supposed to sit next to him. My flight originally going from Houston to Mexico City from Costa Rica, which is where I was traveling from, I actually had a first class seat. And there was an emergency. There was a person who was trying to get to his family member who was very, very ill, and they weren't sure how long she was going to make it. And of course, they asked for people to switch their seats out. And there was 17 or 19 people on a wait list. So no one wanted to give up their seats. And normally I don't either, because I'm there, I'm ready to go to a destination, someone's waiting for me. There's a ripple effect of different things that happen with that moment. But there was something inside me that kept saying, let's choose something different here. Let's open this door of kindness and see what's possible. Now, for me to get my first class seat, this was a flight leaving at 3 in the afternoon. I had to wait till 9 p.m., which meant I got to Mexico City after midnight. And as much as I love Mexico City, I was not interested in getting my driver to come after midnight. So I said, okay, but they promised me the first row. next to first class. And I was like, okay, like it wasn't about the chair. Actually, it was the joy in this person's world that here is something difficult going on in their life and that someone is willing to help them out. And their seat was in the back of the plane from another flight that they were trying to move up an earlier time frame. So not only that, but they got to enjoy first class. And I knew it was going to be their first time. And like, just notice how we feel when we allow to create something, to use our money to create something greater, to actually change someone's life, someone's reality. Like, that itself is pure joy. So I got to go on that next flight, which was about an hour and a half to 2 hours later. And um, this gentleman was fantastic. It was such a blessing sitting next to him and the conversations that we had. It was this nurturing conversation we both had about business, about consulting, about clients and international business, and how different it is with the politics of the people that were there in Mexico he had to engage with versus the people in the US. And when you think about Amazon, it's this big company, but it has so many different divisions. And also, I ended up telling him about some of my consulting projects around culture transformation, communication, and some other things. But what it opened up was so much more than this. And it was this pleasurable experience. And again, it was interesting because what did I ask for? What did he ask for? That the universe brought us together. Now, originally, we weren't even going to meet. We were going to be on two separate flights. And even if we would have been on the same flight, we were going to be sitting in different parts of the plane. But this emergency opened up this whole world that could not have existed without that. So, when things are going on in our lives, it's so easy to be like, why did this happen? I could have complained, having my luxury seat with my meal and everything to, a greater seat. And I still got a good meal, actually. They gave me a different meal. But that company changed so much in my world. I was so happy. It was such a joyful trip. And you could tell his world was lighting up as he was asking me questions, as he was curious to different things in his career, different things with his staff, and then his partnerships and the conversations. And what about you? Like, even those moments that seem like they're difficult, what are you asking for? And if we didn't look at it as a problem, but we looked at it as a possibility, as something new to discover, how different could we handle it? How often have people sat next to you that they were exactly what you were asking for? A particular person you wanted to meet in business, or might have been someone that you met who became a friend. So, who is sitting next to you? And would you be willing to ask? Would you be willing to engage? Because it's not so much fun when it's a one-way conversation. But when we engage, it is beyond just thinking and talking. It's this energy that actually is exchanged between our bodies, between us. And there is this movement of gratitude. There's a movement of gifting and receiving of energies. And that is undefinable. That is not measurable. But that joy in your world, can it ever be measured? But that's actual conscious living. When we are inviting that joy, the curiosity, and it's not just selfishly about one of us, but this thing that's there to be this contribution for both, or it could be a group. So, where are you actually living and creating this conscious living that exponentializes possibilities, curiosity, creativity, and actually brings up different ideas for products, for services, for different ways of engaging with your clients. Now, also look at your emails, your LinkedIn profile, your social media, whatever it is. How often do people actually send you something that makes you want to just open it because there's just something curious there? That energy, wants you to go, yes, let me find out what they're talking about. For me, I know 99.9% of all the emails people send me via LinkedIn and elsewhere, it's the same script. Boring, boring. Tell me what my problem is, but you don't even know me. You don't even know if I even have those problems with my businesses, but you've got the solution. But instead, if you're actually asking for different things, what does your business require today? What would your business desire to be in 5 years, 10 years, 50 years? Go out because, even 5 years, we still try to define it all with a strategy and strategical plannings and stuff. But if you go out 10 years, you go out 25 years, you go out 50 years, yeah, your business can outcreate you. But when you're doing that, you're no longer functioning from every pre-packaged answer in your head. You're now allowing the business and its consciousness to actually gift you information, gift you awareness, give you information of the future. Why is it some companies, they create things that have never existed before because they're actually willing to tap in to that consciousness of the business, but not just today, the futures, and allowing to receive and enhance their creativity. Otherwise, it's boring old every day. Let me copy what someone else is doing. Let me tweak it just a little bit. Yeah, that's a good business. That's a model that you can have. It's no problem. But what really differentiates is that uniqueness. And you have to be willing to enhance creativity, open the doors to possibilities. Otherwise, literally, it's everything that you already know that might be a little bit different, but that's not really creation. Well, it could be creation. It's not innovation. So I wonder if you start to explore, what would you like to add to your life? What would you like to add to the business, right? Start to play with the business. What things will show up? Who will show up? Who will be standing next to you, sitting next to you? Or who will find you first? Because as you start to actually, you know, explore, notice that curiosity becomes play. It becomes this engagement. It becomes engagement with the future. It becomes engagement with that product, that service. And you start engaging, you actually allow those molecules, those elements to already have a voice and start to go out into the world. And then there's this curiosity. Then when you launch the product, what else can be created? Because it is, again, it's about the voice of that product, the service, the idea, the business. And even if there's 10 of the same kind of company next to each other, how come different people go into different stores? Because there's something about that business, there's something about the voice that is pulling them in. So, who is sitting next to you? And as you start to ask questions, what if it is about opening that door to allow someone that you've been looking for to be sitting next to you? Now, we don't always know, but you first have to ask to receive. It's interesting. This is actually something that's in the Bible. Most of us tend to not know about it. But when you ask any question, that's when we open the door to curiosity, possibilities. We also open the door to allow the universe to contribute. Now, What is the universe contributing? Sometimes it's people in our lives. What we ask for, what they ask for, and coming together, and sometimes on a change of a flight. But it could be at the doctor's, at the store, at the restaurant. So, what are you asking for? And what are you receiving that maybe you haven't acknowledged yet? Because until that conversation took place, I had no idea the gentleman sitting next to me was from Amazon, or that, my work that I'm doing with different businesses and different boards would apply to what he's doing so that he can get some ideas for his projects. But also, I can get ideas from him. And again, this is just one way to open up our universe of possibilities. So, who is sitting next to you? And I wonder, after you watch this, what moments might pop up in your world that someone actually showed up in your life? What seemed as serendipity, but what if it was more than that? And what can you ask for today? What is your business asking for today? And what would it take to show up as easily as someone sitting next to you? So, hope you guys enjoy the show. And I wonder what ideas sparked. What new creativity can you just instill in your business today, for today and the future? See you next time. Bye. Thank you for being here for this episode of What Do You Know podcast. We're so grateful you're here. If you have not yet subscribed, you can subscribe below. And will you contribute to assisting us in spreading this out to all others who may be looking for it? And comments below. Let us know. What did you think of this episode? What contribution has it been for you? And also, what topics would you like to hear about? We look forward to hearing from you today and in the future.